What if retirement didn't mean slowing down, but shifting into a new kind of danger? Today we're diving into The Thursday Murder Club, 2025, a cozy but deadly mystery that mixes sharp wit with slow burn suspense. No jump scares here, just four brilliant pensioners who treat crime solving like a weekly hobby and then stumble into a case that won't stay theoretical. In this video, we'll set up the players, the place, the puzzle, and the pressure, without spoiling the final reveals. Think of this as your spoiler-safe tour through the suspects, red herrings, and emotional stakes that make the story tick. Grab a snack, settle in, and let's meet a crime-fighting crew old enough to know better and bold enough not to care. Here's the plan. We'll lay out who's who, how the first case kicks off, and why the stakes keep rising. We'll track the theories and the threads, call out the misdirections, and stop well before the endgame. We're not showing the final trap door, the true culprit, or the full confession. We're focusing on context and momentum so you understand what you're watching, but still have every twist ahead of you. If you're new to this world, expect a slow burn with big payoffs. If you've read the book, expect familiar faces with cinematic sheen and a few surprises. Either way, no final answers, just premium intrigue. Every Thursday, in a quiet corner of a posh retirement village, four unlikely sleuths gather with tea, biscuits, and unsolved crimes. Elizabeth is the calm storm, razor sharp, discreet, and more resourceful than she lets on. Joyce brings warmth and curiosity, noticing human details others miss. If Elizabeth is the scalpel, Joyce is the heartbeat. Ibrahim, a former psychiatrist, is the scientific spine. He maps motives, timelines, and risk, turning gut feelings into grounded inference. Ron, once a union firebrand, supplies stubborn courage, working-class instincts, and a willingness to knock on doors no one else would. Together, they're not nostalgic. They're dangerous in the best way. Experienced, underestimated, and coordinated. The retirement complex looks like a brochure, trimmed lawns, immaculate lounges, and a view that sells itself. But beneath the spa days and bridge nights is a village built on deals, upgrades, and egos. The management keeps smiling, the sales office keeps selling, and the builders keep building until the construction slows, the money moves, and old debts start breathing again. The setting matters because it creates access. The club can wander almost anywhere without drawing suspicion. It also creates motive. When land gets valuable and reputation's priceless, people make bad choices. The village isn't one location. It's a chessboard, and the pieces were in motion long before the game began. It starts with a death that doesn't fit the room it's in. On paper, it could be an accident or a random act. In practice, it's the match that lights a decade of dry kindling. Property, partnerships, and a handful of old grudges suddenly intersect with police tape. The club doesn't need permission, they need a pinboard. They start with the basics: last sightings, phone records, financial strain, and who benefits if work stops, or if it quietly continues. Within days, a neat little retirement village has too many moving vans, too many whispered calls, and one very motivated Thursday agenda. If the first death is a puzzle, the second shock turns it into a pattern. Enter a young officer assigned to community liaison, ambitious, observant, and only slightly baffled by four retirees who run a better briefing than most precincts. She didn't come here expecting a task force, but she recognizes initiative when she sees it. The club doesn't just feed her tips, they show her a map: which residents talk, which vendors stall, which records are misfiled, and which smiles are expensive. She brings procedure and access, they bring decades of people reading. It's an uneven alliance at first. She's worried about lines, they're unconcerned with them, but the results don't lie. The club can go where badges can't, and the officer can make those conversations count. No breaking into locked rooms and no threatening suspects, at least on Thursdays. The club works by consent: chats in cafe corners, estate tours, wellness seminars that somehow become interviews. Elizabeth frames questions like casual anecdotes. Joyce disarms with kindness. Ibrahim notes the micro-hesitations, how people pause when a name lands. Ron goes straight at the pressure points. They're not lawless, they're lateral. If the police build cases with evidence, the club builds leverage with patterns: overlapping appointments, recurring invoices, recycled explanations. They're not trying to arrest anyone. They're trying to understand everyone. When they're right, they're early. When they're wrong, they correct quickly and keep moving. The early trail smells like concrete and ink, construction permits, contract extensions, consultancy fees that look too tidy for the chaos on site. A developer's public optimism doesn't match his private urgency. A fixer who once kept the wheels greased now keeps his phone off. A lawyer with a stainless reputation has one folder he'd rather not discuss. None of this proves murder, but it proves pressure. And pressure finds outlets. The club follows money because money remembers. All the times someone was late, someone was owed, someone was cut out. The police want witness statements. The club wants the alignment of incentives. When those align around a body, they take notice. If you're drawing strings on a corkboard, it starts to look like a small solar system. There's the developer, polished, insistent, and increasingly cornered by deadlines. There's the former associate, once indispensable, now inconvenient. There's a site manager who knows too much about where materials go when budgets go sideways. There's a resident with a past he thought was pre-internet, and a business partner who smiles like a man auditioning for honesty. Some of them are guilty of something: tax creativity, quiet coercion, betrayal. The trick is separating moral mess from murderous intent. The club doesn't rank people by charm. They rank them by opportunity, proximity, and motive curve over time. Elizabeth never asks straight what she can triangulate gently. She invites the right conversation at the wrong time for anyone hiding the truth. A casual reminiscence becomes a cross-examination wrapped in courtesy. She remembers names, favors, and the emotional economies of long careers. She also leaves space, silence that people rush to fill. When she needs hard data, she finds an old contact who knows a registry, a database, or a receptionist willing to help for the price of kindness. It looks effortless because it's practiced. She's not omniscient, she's systematic. The moment her questions stop landing, she changes the room, not the topic. And secrets follow her out. Joyce treats every chat like a walk with a friend. She notices what people bring up twice, which detail they pretend isn't important, and why a stray comment about a painted door matters 2 scenes later. She's the emotional radar, quick to extend grace, quicker to spot defensiveness. Where Elizabeth extracts, Joyce receives. She returns to the group with conversations that sound trivial until a pattern emerges. Repeated names at odd times, harmless club events that always include the same unexpected guest, or a resident who doesn't like fuss, but keeps creating it. Joyce isn't interrogating, she's curating. She builds trust, and trust yields timelines the public record can't. Ibrahim turns anecdotes into models. He charts every player, assigns risk tolerance, and plots what each person stands to lose. He's not guessing who did it, he's asking who could live with it. Violence is rarely random in small communities. It's instrumental. He watches for consistency. Does the alibi match the personality? He reads the body language of debt and the vocabulary of regret. He flags the self-righteous, people who need a reason for what they've already done. When the group spins, he centers them. When the police hurry, he slows them. He's the difference between a gut feeling and a testable hypothesis, and it saves them hours they don't have. Ron believes in doors, knocking on them, standing in them, and refusing to move until the person inside either tells the truth or asks a lawyer. He's not reckless, he's relentless. Workers talk to him because he speaks their language. Schedules, overtime, bosses who change the plan without changing the pay. He hears the shop floor version of events, not the boardroom rewrite. He respects loyalty and despises bullying, which makes him allergic to corporate spin. When someone tries to intimidate him, he grins like a man who's argued on cold picket lines at 5 a.m. Ron doesn't collect secrets, he collects courage. Often that's exactly what a frightened witness needs. Officially, the detectives appreciate community help. Unofficially, the Thursday crew is both a gift and a headache. The young officer mediates. She filters the club's tips, protects the chain of custody, and keeps her career out of the shredder. Her boss wants clean cases. The community wants quick reassurance. Meanwhile, the evidence doesn't care about anyone's feelings. As leads widen, the police get pulled toward past cases that never quite closed. That's the other advantage of 4 retirees. They have longer memories than any database. The collaboration isn't tidy, but it's productive. When the club is early, the police get leverage. When the police are careful, the club gets safe. When something new hits, another death, a disappearance, a break-in that doesn't quite look like one, it stops being a single bad day and becomes a campaign. Whoever is pulling strings understands the club exists and may even be gauging their methods. That raises the threat level and narrows the options. Some lines of inquiry now risk pushing the wrong person into the wrong corner. The timetable tightens. The village goes from chatty to cautious. Doors that used to open now have terms. That's when the club's biggest asset matters most. They don't scare easily. Age has taught them that fear is real and manageable if you hold the line together. Good mysteries recycle truth. A fact can be accurate and still point the wrong way. The club keeps tripping over small, true things that lead to big, wrong places. A receipt proves a meeting, just not the meeting you think. A photograph confirms a friendship, but from years earlier, before the money changed hands. A teary confession clears someone of one sin while quietly admitting another. Each red herring explains behavior, but not the body. The trick is refusing to fall in love with a theory. The Thursday crew can be stubborn, but they're not prideful. When the evidence shifts, so do they. That flexibility is their superpower. Every community has a ledger of favors. The village has two, one written and one remembered. A resident's volunteer committee work turns out to be access management with a smile. A yoga teacher hears more than she teaches. A gardener notices who lingers behind the clubhouse after dark. The club doesn't exploit people. They protect them, and protection invites confidence. As stories line up, a private network of debts, hushes, and half-truths emerges. It doesn't scream murder plot, it whispers risk management. But when risk gets personal, people do permanent things. The club learns to separate privacy from secrecy. One deserves respect, the other deserves daylight. Midway through, a piece drops that reframes the board. Not a revelation of who, but of how the money actually moved, and who acted as the bridge. Suddenly, alibis that look solid become awkward, and a friendly witness stops returning calls. The club realizes they've been interviewing a constellation when the real engine is in orbit. One person who keeps everything moving by keeping everything plausible. It's not a mastermind, it's a manager of consequences. This isn't the solution, nowhere near it, but it's the route to one. The team divides. Elizabeth tracks the bridge, Ibrahim tests new motive math, Ron pressures the fringe, Joyce secures the human side of the fallout. If you're imagining car chases, think smaller and smarter. The tension comes from invitations, not ambushes, from the wrong person agreeing to the right coffee. Elizabeth arranges a meeting that's both friendly and impossible to wriggle out of. The target thinks it's a favor. It's actually a mirror. Meanwhile, the club tightens its loop. Fewer tips, more verification. They're not hunting a confession, they're hunting consistency. When stories align under stress, that's evidence with a heartbeat. When they crack, that's an opening. The game becomes one of timing. Push too early and the wrong domino falls. Push too late and someone else does. As the case deepens, it brushes against who these people were before Thursday meetings. Elizabeth's past isn't a party trick. It's a weight she carries quietly and a skill set she deploys carefully. Ibrahim revisits the line between empathy and enabling. Ron tests whether righteous anger still serves the common good when the stakes are intimate. Joyce confronts the cost of caring, how much of yourself you can give to a stranger and still have enough left for the people who love you. None of this slows the plot, it powers it. When the truth arrives, as truth always does, it changes the case. It also changes the club. The detectives begin to see what the club already knows. Motive lives where paperwork doesn't. A calendar tells you where someone was supposed to be. A favor tells you why they went somewhere else. Bank statements scream pressure, but body language whispers panic. The young officer learns to ask the second question, not where were you, but who told you to go? She also learns the things seasoned investigators know. You never have the full picture. You only have enough of it to take the next right step. That humility makes the collaboration click. When the club and the police stop competing, the truth gets a shorter commute. The final act of any great mystery starts before the audience knows it's the final act. Here, you feel the clock before you see it. A deadline emerges, not for the case, but for something the case will break if it continues on its current path. That's the twist without spoil. It's not just about catching someone, it's about preventing what happens when they realize they're cornered. The Thursday crew doesn't bluff. They plan, then they act. But even the best plan requires a risk. The village holds its breath. Someone makes a call. Someone else doesn't answer. That's where we stop. The next moves belong to the movie. The Thursday Murder Club lands because it balances contradiction. Warmth with menace, humor with grief, leisure with urgency. The club's age isn't a gag, it's an angle. They've learned that people reveal themselves when they feel safe, and that you can make almost anyone feel safe if you look like you're there to be kind, not to catch. The film also uses the village as a character. Polished surfaces, tangled roots. Community can be a comfort or a cover. Here it's both. This is a story about dignity, about what we owe each other when the stakes rise and the years get loud with memory. No names for the final reveal, no replay of the last confrontation, no secret recording, no confession room, no, and it was you all along. We're also leaving out the precise timeline that seals the deal and the personal decision that turns the key. If you're here to watch with your guard up, you can lower it. This video is an invitation, not a substitution. The real pleasure is watching the club test their hunches against reality, watching the police learn how to hear them, and watching a plan come together that could only come from four people who've lived long enough to know what really matters. Keep an eye on the way ordinary settings are filmed like crime scenes, and how casual conversations carry more evidence than any forensic kit. Notice how the score nudges tension without shouting it, and how bits of humor keep the atmosphere breathable. Pay attention to hands, who fidgets, who folds, who points, who touches the table to end a sentence. Watch the camera during community events. The background tells stories the dialogue only hints at. And enjoy the club's rhythm, Elizabeth's precision, Joyce's empathy, Ibrahim's clarity, Ron's drive. When they sync, the room changes temperature. That's when you know the truth is getting close. So that's the setup. A village with a view, a murder that unlocks the past, a club that refuses to be patronized, and a police partnership that learns by doing. The suspects aren't monsters. They're people with histories, hopes, and habits. The raw materials of motive. The film's engine isn't shock. It's accumulation, detail by detail until denial becomes too heavy to carry. We've sketched the map and marked the pressure points. What we haven't done is step into the final corridor. That's for you and the characters to walk. If you're into mysteries that respect your attention and reward your patience, this one's a treat. Thanks for watching our spoiler-safe tour of the Thursday Murder Club 2025. If you want more smart, twisty stories with heart, hit subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the next recap. Drop your favorite cozy crime recommendations in the comments and tell us which character in the club you'd want leading your investigation. For more free full-length classic films and fresh recaps, stick around. This channel is your one-stop cinema couch companion. Until next time, keep your notebooks tidy, your questions kind, and your Thursdays free.